Okay, so we're just going to do some very basic symbolization here just to see how the module works. So let's say we were asked to symbolize some frog is green, and our scheme was... Oh, so in the symbolization module, you'll see these brackets with the ones. They're kind of confusing. What this means is that... we don't want is frog, we want is a frog. Whatever goes here is a symbolization of whatever goes there. Whatever goes there is a symbolization of whatever goes there. That's what that means. Okay, so we see some frog is green. And if we remember how this worked, remember that it was some x, fx, and gx. So when we come here, you can say, okay, let's put in an existential, and then a conjunction, and then we say x is a frog, and x is green. This is now going to be atomic. When we enter atomic, we have to enter F and then X. And for X is green, we say G and then X. And that's the correct symbolization. Now, it turns out that if you're symbolizing an English sentence of chapter 3, and you symbolize it with an existential quantifier, you are, in almost all cases, not all cases, there are a couple cases where in the homework for Thursday where this isn't true, but in almost all cases after that, you would then have a conjunction immediately after the existential. And this is so common that we have this thing here called rest exist, which means restricted existential generalization. I'm not going to worry about what that means right now. What I want to tell you is this. It puts in the existential and then the conjunction immediately after it, so you don't need to enter them separately. So there we go again. Some frog is green, there's a thing such that it is a frog and it is green, and that's true if and only if there isn't some frog is green. So that's what there is to say about the symbolization module. Similarly, if you were you might remember, so if we're gonna do every we're going to symbolize every frog is green. Oops. Let's fix that. Then you could put in a universal and then a conditional. If you remember, x is a frog, then x is green. And so then again, that's going to be atomic fx, and that's atomic gx. But as with the existential is almost always over a conjunction, so the universal is almost always over a conditional. And so we can put in rest universal, and that will put in the conditional for us as well, and we still say x is a frog here, and then x is green here. So the only time, so on the one hand, these restricted universal, restricted existential are nice. They enter in more parts of the tree for us. They are, if you're symbolizing a sentence that says everything as opposed to every frog or everyone or every happy man or whatever, if it's just everything, then you don't need to put in the conditional or the conjunction, and you just put in a quantifier and it's not restricted. If I say everything is happy, I don't have a conditional because it's everything. It's only when I'm restricting my claim to some specific group of objects like frogs or happy men or so on that you have a conditional. Now in English you almost always do make that restriction, and that means that you almost always put in a restricted universal and not just a universal. Similarly with something, if I say something is happy, I'm not saying, my claim is not restricted to some group within which happiness occurs. It's of all the things that there are, at least one of them is happy, as opposed to shrinking it down and saying not only is there one of the things happy, but I'm restricting the area where I'm saying it happens to, let's say, the frogs. So usually in English, when we have quantifiers, they're restricted in the sense that they concern the quantifier phrase, every frog, some frog, concerns a specific group of objects. It's restricted to that group of objects. and the way in which we handle that is universal conditional existential conjunction, and the program has some shortcuts for that. If the claim is unrestricted and it's an everything claim, then your logical symbolization should not have any sort of restriction either. It should just be for all x, blah, whatever the property is. We will talk in a lot of detail more about restrictions and quantifier phrases and all of this stuff that I've introduced here. This is just to get you going. So, good luck. If you have questions, please let me know.